Shalom Yashar Allah. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and infinite glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakak Double honors to the beloved elders and the apostles at Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to all you hopeful Lektakim that are out there laboring, that are pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. This is your brother Amar from the GMS Boise, Idaho camp, coming at you with a quick news update on some recent activity, I guess, that's been coming out of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, which is that Ukraine was using cluster munitions, which is against the Geneva Convention, and also they hit civilians behind Russian lines, and the only way that they were able to get those cluster munitions is that they were supplied by the U.S., and Russia, as I'll read in this article, is directly blaming the United States for supplying the weapons and then also giving them the satellites to coordinate the attack on like GPS location, because they use this, only the United States has it in their software to be able to use those weapons to help guide the missiles and guide the cluster munitions. So they were almost directly involved in the attack, and that's how Russia's taking it. And this is breaking. Russian Ministry of Defense regarding today's massacre in Crimea by Ukraine with cluster munitions. The U.S. is responsible for this massacre, and they will get an answer. And this is the Russian Ministry of Defense again. All flight missions for American ATACMS MS missiles are programmed by American specialists based on their own U.S. satellite intelligence data. Therefore, the responsibility for the deliberate missile strikes against the civilian population of Sevastopol lies primarily with Washington, which supplied this weapon to Ukraine, as well as with the Kiev regime, from whose territory this strike was launched. Such actions will not go unanswered. And this is a major escalation as well, because the U.S. cannot go around like it used to bullying these other nations. You know, these other nations are responding now. These other nations are getting, active and openly and in the open with no fear, talking like this against Babylon and making military alliances directly with their enemies with no, like a better word, no fucks given, man. No one does not respect Babylon the Great like they did after World War II. So I went to go Google this article to make sure that obviously everything is on point. And this was another case. This wasn't the one, because this happened very recently. All we're able to do is put a report. But this was another case of cluster munition use in Russian-Ukraine war. And what I wanted to get from this is that it is against the law to use these, which is why it's such a big deal that they're making it the cluster munitions supplied by the U.S. This is cluster munitions, and I'm going to read this section right here. It says cluster munitions are weapons that can be delivered by rockets, missiles, and aircraft. They open in midair and disperse dozens of and even hundreds of smaller sub-munitions, also called bomblets, over an area that size of a city block. Many sub-munitions fail to explode on initial impact, leaving duds that act like landmines, posing a threat to civilians for years and even decades. The 2008 Convention on Cluster Munitions comprehensively prohibits, which means you cannot do it, these weapons due to their indiscriminate effect and the long-lasting danger that they pose. It requires the destruction of stockpiles, clearance of areas contaminated by cluster munitions, remnants, and assistance to victims. Russia and Ukraine are not among the treaty's 111 states parties. Nonetheless, the use of cluster munitions in populated areas invariably violates international humanitarian law, prohibits on the use of weapons that cannot discriminate between civilians and combatants. So this is pretty much just like a buckshot, from a shotgun, and that's how this munitions act. So the Most High is going to bring some major judgment on the pride of Babylon the Great, and this is just one of many cases against Babylon the Great that Russia is going to use against them when they shoot these missiles off and have no remorse for it, which, because it's part of prophecy, and they're doing exactly, what Yahweh Bashim Shai has set them up to do. This is Jeremiah 50, and right at the top, I'm going to jump around in this chapter. It's Yapa, and definitely goes into the escalation of war that we're living in right now. This is Jeremiah 50, verse 1. The word of the Lord Yahweh spake against Babylon, in this case, United States, and against the land of the Chaldeans, which were like the elite, the aristocrats of the Babylonians. By Jeremiah the prophet, declare ye among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard, published and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken, Baal is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces, her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces, which is all this lies that the United States have put up over the world, that they're the so-called world police, that they're actually the good guys out here trying to spread democracy. No, they found out that they just come and bring Satan with them, man. Kill the land, kill the people, kill the resources, pollute it, and then leave the country in turmoil to be a third world bombed out country that they just cutting each other's throats, man. Because that's how Esau leaves places, man. Verse 3, and ultimately, it's going to be taken out, by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, but he's going to use these nations to kick it off. Verse 3, for out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. And that's ultimately talking about when the ICBM nuclear missiles get done, wiping this land clean. I'm going to jump down to verse 9. Like I said, I'm going to jump around. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. Again, we just have Russia and North Korea make a military alliance. China, as well, is moving towards that military alliance, and they're already a part of the BRICS nations. So this is a very a major escalation of economic war and a physical all-out war. That's the assembly of great nations. And they shall set themselves, Salakia. I'm going to start from the top again. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence shall be taken. An array means like you're going to set up on a firing line, about to take somebody out. Everybody's on that line, aiming their rifles at the same target, against them. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain, which means you ain't going to get no duds. All the targets that need to be hit are going to be wiped out. Verse 11, because ye were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage, which are the Israelites, because ye are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls, which means like they're fattened calf. They got fat off of Israel's captivity and having us under their thumb. And this is what the whole world's looking at them right now, because they're in a weakened state. Verse 50, Jeremiah 50 and 23, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? And that's ultimately because Yahweh Bashim Yahushai took this place out, from the inside out, spiritually first and foremost, with the men of the Lord speaking up, standing against this place, man. But, this is the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and the way he had it set up in prophecies. Jeremiah 50 and 31, behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud. And you can get that precept in Obadiah, the book of Obadiah. Saith the Lord Yahweh, power of hosts, Lord of armies. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. And how does the Most High visit? With judgments. He ain't come down to give hugs. He's coming down to bring judgments. That's how the Lord visits the earth. Verse 32, and the most proud, which is Babylon the Great, that eagle, shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. Being that wall of besom of destruction, that sweeping wall of fire that's going to come through and ultimately cleanse this land. Verse 40, as the power overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord Yahweh, So shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. And that's talking about, in the Revelation, how it says not even Arabian shall pitch tent. Just a cormor, I think, is the name of that bird, will dwell there. It's like a vulture-like bird. Verse 41, behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth, ultimately being the adversaries of Babylon the Great. Verse 42, they shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses. Every one put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. And that's ultimately talking about the nuclear destruction, because they're going to roll in a formation. They'll not show mercy, because when a nuclear missile explodes and that wall of fire is just going through the land, it's not differentiating between young and old, woman, man, child, none of that. It's just destroying everything. So that's the fear of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because the only way, the hope of that situation is that you get beamed out of here. You look up, that the Lord send one of the chariots to swoop you up, because that's the only way you're getting saved if you live on the shores of America, Babylon the Great, to this very day. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which consist of and make up the 12 tribes of Israel. And the majority of the elect are going to be saved right here from Babylon the Great. So Lord willing that this lesson was edifying, to show you and put on the fear of the Lord and show you that this stuff is happening, man. We're not just making this up. And it lines up directly with scriptures. So Lord willing that this lesson was edifying to the elect, I'd like to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Akarkwatash, double honors to the elders and the apostles at Great Millstone, again, that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to all you brothers that are pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. Keep pushing, keep persevering, keep believing, keep the faith. Till next time, Lord willing, Shalom.